Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am Greg Taylor.
Jerry?
Asking this is that long term, the ethical issues are outstanding for me. Because there could be effects where facts were given to people that shouldn't be, sold to people. Money, follow the money.
Right.
And that's what concerned me.
Right.
My grandsons possibly could be refused insurance because they'd have to take a test before they could get it.
Right.
And that concerned me, because maybe their granddad was Neanderthal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Neanderthal used to be in the comics, sort of a joke.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke. Is it a strong one?
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, we now know that a lot of us have Neanderthal genes. We do. And I think your point. Is excellent because I think it's excellent because some people need to weigh those that they need to weigh that and they may decide not to do that because of that going forward because you don't know down the road how that information is going to be used. In my case, I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely.
Sure.
Fine.
Well, I taught ethics one time, so it's very, very, and I'm a Methodist minister, so
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Jerry Lovett.
Okay.
But I appreciate it. This was a good program.
I appreciate
a lot of things for me.
I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate your comment too, because that's in science. You've got to think of the ethics, especially with this going forward. You got to think about it. You really do.
More every day, ethics is important, and we've sort of ignored them, but they're beginning to ball up on us, and back up on us, and it's scary.
I agree.
Thank you two so much.
Thank you.
Your wife was from Detroit.
Yes.
My wife's from Sullivan.
Oh, so is it.
You two have a great deal in common.
I don't care where I travel or where I go, I'm going to see somebody they're either going to be from Winston, Marion, or Walker counties. I don't care where I travel. Yeah, I don't care. I live in Walker County as well. I don't care where I travel. On our honeymoon, we're on our honeymoon. My wife turns to me. She says, "We are not going to see anyone here from Marion, Walker, or Winston. It's not going to happen. We're not going to see anybody." 5 minutes passes. A Sanderson. He's a Sanderson. He's related to the Hamilton Sandersons, but he actually lives in Ewan, Alabama. He walks, "Hey Taylor, how you doing? What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And it's like, "You're not supposed to be here." "Yeah. How's your mom? Saw her last week." "Are y'all married now? Are you married now?" "Yeah, we're married now." But it's just, I think our group here in Winston and Marion, Walker, I think we're real traveled, because it's just wherever I go, I see, and it's usually they come up, "Hey Taylor, what you doing?" I guess we're well traveled here. I guess, and I don't think our generation now has a feel for what went on during that time. I don't think they
Appreciate how tough those people were.
They were very tough. They really were.
They left home and ate roots and leaves and some of the cruel things to live because their husbands were all fighting. And they couldn't hardly live because people come by and take their animals, take their gardens, take their meat.
But I think that made a lot of change in the people here. I think, for example, my wife, she is a tough lady.
Really strong. You're right. Descendants are
it's
strong.
Just like, I think, I think we have a culture of toughness here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we do. I think that made us. I think those really
hybrid thing you were talking about.
it may be, but but think about it. We have some very, very resilient people here.
Sure.
And I think a lot.
Term is good.
I think a lot of that is from those times. They're very, very resilient.
I lived in Kentucky for 2 years in the mountains. Mental health. I was director of the mental health center for 29 years. That you all have an office. And this was people there will live when the rest of us won't. Up in the mountains, those people can live. They have a determination, and they will live. They will make it when other people won't make it.
So maybe we're not self-sufficient anymore.
They live in the hollers up there.
Right.
And they work in Cincinnati. On the weekend, they come back home to the holler,
Right.
And it's amazing. And the DNAs there would be interesting to study.
It would, and it would be interesting to see. I think it's interesting here. I think the migration patterns we have here is really interesting. I've learned some things tonight. It just kind of hit me about, Illinois. Got some more insight on the Michigan thing. So I think we've got some interesting migration going on right here. I have enjoyed the evening. I really have. Yeah, and I appreciate your comment.
You better have an email.
Yeah, you can contact me by.
Bevel State, the people can contact you there, Hamilton campus, and you have an email address?
Yes, I do. It is, it's greg.taylor@bscc.edu. It's greg.taylor@bscc.edu. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. I sure do. I grew up in Marion County. I'm a native of Winfield. My dad is from Hamilton, Alabama, and my mother is from Winfield. I want to tell all of you we've had some fantastic students from this area at Bevel State, and we appreciate the opportunity of working with your daughters, your sons, your grandsons, granddaughters. We appreciate the opportunity of working with them. A lot of them go to Jasper campus, and also they come to us at Hamilton campus, and we really appreciate the opportunity of working with them. We've got some tremendous students this fall as well. My goal tonight is to give you some basics regarding looking at your ancestry from a DNA perspective. It's not the only tool, and I think when you're searching for your ancestry, when you're studying that, I think it's really good to just develop a toolbox as you go along, and I think this is one toolbox you can use. Tonight we're going to talk about the basics, and I'm going to be very basic with you tonight. My background is this. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I have a biology degree and I minored in chemistry at the university. Went on and got my master's, and I got my master's degree in biology, and I minored in chemistry as well at the university. And then I got my doctorate in higher education administration, but I minored in biology. It sounds weird for me to say I minored in biology, but I did. After I got my master's, I went and worked in molecular biology research at UEB. I worked there for a number of years. And I was published. You can Google me up. You can go to Google Scholar and put in G.R. Taylor, and put in G.R. Taylor and UAB, and you can read my stuff. Because my research group, we came upon a protein that helped regulate blood pressure that people had been looking for years and years and years. And that led to about 10 years ago, that led to a whole group of better blood pressure medications. Now, I'm not rich and I'm not famous from that. You know, the university gets all the fame and gets all the fortune. But I'm happy to say that before my grandmother died, she was on medication that my research team had researched. And the moral of that story is, you know, in our daily walks of life, we've got to do our very, very best. Because you never know where something that you do is going to really be the difference with others. You really don't. And I think about that. I think about that going back, and it just gives me chills, because I really think that God just let us know that one night. I really do, because we really learned that really by mistake. My dad is Jimmy Taylor from Hamilton. He is related to a man by the name of James Taylor, who was a very interesting character. James Taylor was in the Civil War, and he fought for the North. He was a sergeant and fought for the North. As many of you know and have researched, a lot of folks from this area, some folks fought for the North, some folks fought for the South, and a lot of you guys are aware of those backgrounds. My dad's grandmother was Hattie Ophelia Taylor. You knew she was going to be famous because her initials spell hot, H-O-T. Hattie, I'm so proud of Hattie, because Hattie was the linchpin of my family back in the 1920s, because in the 1920s a tornado wiped out Hamilton, Alabama during that time, and it wiped out half of my family. And Hattie literally raised an entire family by herself. She was just a linchpin for that community, and also a linchpin for my family. It became an honor if you were asked by Hattie to go fishing in Hamilton, Alabama. That was an incredible honor. She just didn't ask anybody to go fishing with her. She had a fishing car and all that, and her fishing trips became legend. Elvis Presley. Well, as it happens, as we're about to see, Morning Dove is my dad's grandmother 5 back. And it just so happens that Morning Dove, some of you in this room may be related to Morning Dove. Morning Dove was Elvis's, I believe it's third grandmother back is Elvis. So what I'm saying today is my dad is related to Elvis. Morning Dove, if I was to sequence mitochondrial DNA from Morning Dove, it would be the same sequence as the mitochondrial DNA that my dad has. Oregon Taylor. Oregon is direct descendant of Morning Dove. That's my grandmother. And Garvis Taylor was my granddad, who's passed on from Hamilton. This is my Winfield-based relatives. Again, that will set us up for later. My grandmother is Una Mae Webster Marshall. My granddad is Joe Mac Andrew Marshall, who I'm really proud of. When I retire from Belleville State, I'm going to write a book about Joe Mac Andrew Marshall, because he was in 3rd Army under Patton, 47th Armored Field Artillery under General Patton. He was amazed that General Patton was regarded as such a hero. He thought General Patton was absolute nut. He would tell you that. I mean, he thought General Patton was a nut, and he would tell you that. But I need to just write his war stories. He didn't tell me his war stories until I was in a near fatal car accident And after that car accident, he pulled me aside and he said, "Okay, you've had a near-death experience. You're now in the club. You're going to hear all the stories." And so I wrote down all of his stories, and it's just absolutely fascinating. His story about the Battle of the Bulge is chilling, but that's a forthcoming book. Jimmy Taylor is my dad. Brenda Jo Marshall Taylor is my mother. I'm very proud of my mother. She's now on the school board at Winfield City Schools, and she's serving there as now. And my sister is Leah Taylor Pennington, and she was a head majorette at the University of Alabama for 3 years. This is Mourning Dove's. This is not Mourning Dove's tombstone. This is Mourning Dove's daughter's tombstone. And there's been some confusion in the Hamilton area regarding Mourning Dove and her daughter. To understand 23andMe and Ancestry and all these different services, we need to understand, first of all, the flow of information in the cell. What's going on with the flow of information in the cell. We need to learn that first. And the flow of information in a cell, I've made a little drawing for it. Ugly drawing. The way it works, we have DNA in our nucleus. Okay, all of our cells have DNA. And that DNA fundamental is the molecule of life. You are your DNA. There's subtleties, like if you look around the room, some of you have straight hairlines, some of you have a widow's peak. She has a widow's peak going right here. Some of you have straight hairlines. Straight hairlines is what we call wild type. That's what most people have, if you have a straight hairline. Notice, look around the room, some of you have detached earlobes like I do. My wife has attached earlobes. She says that's more aerodynamic, and she tells me that I'm not aerodynamic, and I'm not as perfect as she is. She says that attached earlobes are more perfect, and I'm flawed because I have detached earlobes. And she reminds me of that every once in a while. She'll go over there and but wild type in humans is detached earlobes. Now, how do we get that? Well, what's going on is we've got DNA in cells that encodes for RNA. RNA is kind of like a molecule of communication. It's kind of like an intermediate between the DNA and then finally our protein. So our flow of information in our cell is DNA, RNA, and then it goes to protein. And these proteins manifest themselves as a detached earlobe, straight hairline, hair color, height. All that's manifested. So here's the flow: DNA, RNA, and then protein. Okay. Now, as we were talking before the meeting tonight, a lot of the things we raise money for, a lot of the diseases we raise money for, what's going on is we're not making, for whatever reason, we're not making the right protein. You know, cystic fibrosis, for example, we're not making the right protein. Various types of arthritis, okay, we're not making the right protein. Blood diseases, we're not making the right protein. Scleroderma, where you have the scaly skin, autoimmune disease, you're not making the right protein. Celiac disease, Crohn's disease, again, not making the right protein. No, I want everybody to notice the color of my hair. I have mouse brown 57 hair by L'Oreal because I'm worth it. Okay? It's getting more gray as time goes on. It's mouse brown 57 plus gray now. Okay? And it's on sale. I saw it's on sale in the paper. There's a coupon for it. Okay? So between the ages of 0 and 6, I had blonde hair. And my mom was just, she was so disappointed because when I turned 7, it turned mouse brown 57. My mom is Irish, and she's redheaded, and she was like, she had this connotation, he's going to be blind. He's going to be this little blonde boy, and it turned mouse brown 57 overnight, And so my point being, as we go through our lives, we use different DNA sequences as we go through our lives. And here's the thing. The thing is this. if we know we've got a bad gene, okay, for example, if you do 23andMe and it comes back, hey, you've got an increased risk of getting heart disease. Well, guess what? That's when you want to make sure you're exercising, make sure you're eating right, not doing, you're not eating at Pizza Hut every night, and you're not a couch potato. 23andMe came back. I've got one of the markers. I don't have a good marker on one. I showed my wife that, and she had read where if you do pomegranate juice, and do green tea, and she's been spiking all my food with oatmeal stuff. My breakfast cereal is rabbit pellets from the co-op. Okay, it is. So the result of that is I had my carotid arteries checked about a month ago. I have the carotid arteries of a teenager. It came back, I'm 10%. Both sides. And the way 23andMe said, ooh, I shouldn't be that way. All right, here's my ugly drawing of the mitochondria. It's just a circle and a little bean with a squiggle right there. Ugly drawing that's mitochondria. The mitochondria, there's a lot of theories on the mitochondria. Here's the thing. The mitochondria is about the size of a bacterium. Okay, it's about the size of a bacterium. And there's a lot of biologists who believe, now not all, but a lot of them believe that at one time the mitochondria was actually a free-living organism to itself. And there's a lot of evidence for it because the mitochondria has its own DNA sequence. Okay? Now here's what the mitochondria does. The mitochondria allows your cells to take in oxygen and burn glucose. Okay, that's what your cells do. Your cells take in oxygen, they take glucose, and they burn it. Okay? And all the food you eat breaks down to form glucose. If you're eating fat, it's going to break down to form glucose. If you eat sugar, you're going to break it down to glucose. So anything you eat is, fat, carbohydrates, proteins, your body's going to break it down, your cells are going to break it down to glucose. What the mitochondria do, the mitochondria take oxygen from that, and they're going to help your cells burn that glucose. Okay? Where respiration takes place in your cells. Okay? And you'll notice that some parts of our body have more mitochondria in them than others. For example, your muscles, you've got a lot of mitochondria in your muscles. A lot of them. Because your muscles have to burn a lot of glucose. Okay? And some of you may be on if you're on a statin for your some of you, and I'm on a statin too. If you're on a statin for your cholesterol level, oftentimes your doctor will tell you to get on Coenzyme Q10 with it. You may have heard that. Take Coenzyme Q10, especially if you're on a statin. Well, the reason being is Coenzyme Q10 is a very important enzyme that the mitochondria uses, and it's used in the burning of glucose. And what statins do is statins reduce that. Okay, statins reduce that. So you need more Coenzyme Q10 to overcome that statin, and that's why a lot of times that's why you get cramps. Like if you don't do Coenzyme Q10, you'll do the statin, it'll give you cramps. That's why, because it's depleting your Coenzyme Q10 stores. So that's what the mitochondria does. Now here's the thing. The mitochondria has its own DNA. And here's what's important for y'all. It's got its own DNA. And it doesn't change much over time. I could exhume, I'm not going to do it, but I could exhume my grandmother 20 back. My mitochondrial DNA sequence is going to be the same as hers. And here's the thing. You get your initial, here's the other thing that you guys need to write down and be aware of. You get your initial mitochondria from your mom. The egg you get from your mother has your initial mitochondria in it. So right now, you think about it, you've got, in every cell of your body, you've got mitochondria from your mother. I do. Little tiny leprechaun Irish woman, I've got that in every cell of my body. I've got her mitochondrial DNA sequence. I've got it. My dad, whose mom is a descendant of mourning dove, my dad has mitochondrial DNA sequence that's going to be the same as mourning dove. So if you guys ever want to get some mitochondrial DNA sequence of mourning dove, just, hey, give me a call. I'll get you a blood sample. And I love the stories from speaking of mourning dove, I love her stories. She would tell her family, they'd want to call her Sarah. She said, my name is not Sarah. My name, I am mourning dove. A, T, C, and G. Those are the 4 letters of DNA. Here's how you can remember them. You're all sitting there saying, oh, it's going to be A, T, C, G. Don't do that. It's Andy Taylor, Cousin Goober. You got it? Oh, you got it now? That just fixes everything. Andy Taylor, Cousin Goober. You know what? Andy pairs with Taylor, cousin pairs with Goober, right? I came upon that. I was working at UB one night, late one night. I was painfully doing, T pairs with A, C pairs with D. I was just writing it all out there. And then it hit me. I really wish I was home watching Andy Griffith, And then it hit me. A, T, C, G. Andy Taylor, Cousin Goober. RNA is almost the same thing. It's Cousin Goober goes to University of Alaska. UACD. You Alabama fans, well, you need to be saying University of Alabama. You Auburn people are going to say, well, it's Auburn University, right? But it's RNA. The 4 letters of RNA are University of Alaska and Cousin Goober. Okay, so that's the DNA sentence. And so for the next 90 years, we're going to be figuring out what that sentence means. Because back in 1999, if you remember 1999, that's when we sequenced DNA from the entire DNA sequence from a human. We did it back in 1999. And to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, that was more significant than landing on the moon. Also, another significant thing that came out in 1999 is Bill Clinton had a law passed. When that happened, everybody panicked. So, oh my goodness, we're going to start cloning humans. Remember that? Oh, we're going to clone. We can't clone humans. So Bill Clinton had a law passed, through Congress, and it basically said you cannot clone humans. However, you can, thank goodness, you can clone plants. That kept my grandmother out of jail. Nobody cloned plants more than my grandmother. You call that, here in Winston County, we call cloning plants, we call it root. Right? She was starting to sweat about that a little bit. I had a conversation with her. I said, cloning stuff's about to be illegal. She said, ooh. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. Okay? So that's so back in 99, we got the sentence of a person. And so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what all those letters mean. And here's the good part. We're really getting down the road here. We're learning. We're finding out what does what, and we're doing it quickly. Back in 99, I remember they said it was going to take about 90 years for us to figure all that out. I don't think it's going to take 90 years. I think by the year about 2030 or 2040, we're literally going to know what everything in our sequence does, because we already know a lot. I mean, I was amazed to see my 23andMe report, and it basically came back and said, hey, you don't have early onset Alzheimer's. Hey, part of that is taking care of your mitochondria. That's going to help. You want your mitochondria to be healthy, and the healthier they are, the better you're going to do. Okay. Now, when you do 23andMe, it's going to come back and it's going to tell you what it's going to come back and it's going to give you all these reports. And Ancestry.com is going to come out with all these reports. And it's going to tell you what your haplogroup is. And one of the most important things I need to share with you guys tonight is the issue of haplogroups. You need to think of a haplogroup as your clan. Okay, you need to think about a haplogroup as your clan. And what you're going to find is haplogroups, this is a set of genes. This is a set of genes that you have in common with a specific, you can call it clan, okay? And I want to put that on your radar because what you can start doing is once you discover what haplogroups you're in, it's kind of like saying, when you get a haplogroup, it's kind of like saying, okay, genetically you are, I can tell genetically that you are a Crimson Tider, or I can tell genetically you're going to be from the Auburn Nation. It's like, we kind of have these clans going in the state already, don't we? I mean, I tell people I've married an Auburn woman, and it's like, you've defected to the other side. How did my haplogroups get here? And you're also going to find that you are going to have people in haplogroups that are here in Winston County. And it's really neat. It can really help you if you're really looking at migration patterns, that kind of thing. It can really be a tremendous help to you. So I want to put that's one of the most important things I want to share with you tonight. Pay close attention to your haplogroups, and you can do, once you find that, you can do some really great research on haplogroups going forward. Okay. Now, the other thing I really want to stress to you tonight too is ethics. In science, there's nothing completely good. And the thing is, when you do 23andMe and when you do Ancestry.com, one thing, some of you may decide, hey, I don't want to do it. Some of you may decide, hey, I want to do it in a you might want to do an assumed name, because in the future, we don't know how this is going to be used. And I thought about that when I did 23andMe. I thought about it. I was kind of reluctant to do 23andMe. And then I realized, you know what? I probably have about 23 good years left. I want to know what's going on with me. And I'll deal with the bad stuff. If it gets bad, I'll deal with it later. But I do want to warn all of you that science is never completely good. It's just not. There's always as great as that blood pressure medicine is, it's got side effects. On this graphic right here, what you're going to find is one of the things that 23andMe is going to do, and also Ancestry.com will do, it's going to really help you with migration patterns. Where did I come from? Where are my relatives? Where are relatives? One of the things you're going to run into, this is actually showing the different continents. This is showing the different continents. And this is showing patterns that are arising from like Ancestry.com, 23andMe. And what's happening is you notice that there's not a lot of intermingling between the continents going on. You also notice that at points there's like this Eve. I'm not saying that's Eve of Adam and Eve, but in the past there have been, quote, Eves. And they know that from mitochondrial DNA sequence. In other words, tell by tracing back mitochondrial DNA sequence that at many times in the past there have been times when the population has really been wiped out, and basically we've had this Eve to survive, and then things have blossomed from that. And we've got that from mitochondrial DNA sequence. And I just think that's fascinating that you can actually look on the continents This tells you several things. First of all, you see the Eve moments. You also see that we have a tendency just to intermingle among the continents. This also is a nod toward the fact that we typically marry the girl down the street. I remember my wife told me when she graduated from Sanford, she said, when I went to Sanford, I had it in my mind I was going to marry somebody from up north and away from here. My sister was about the same. My sister, when she went to the University of Alabama, she said, and she told me, she said, I am going to marry a young man from the Midwest. I am not marrying somebody from Alabama. It's not happening. I laughed at her, though. She tried that odyssey for about a year. She called me up and said, I'm breaking up with my boyfriend. I said, why? He will not open doors for me. I'm used to you open doors for me. Hey, I'm from Marion County, Alabama. I'm from West Alabama. You open doors. You open doors for your sister, your mother, your ladies. You open doors for them. She was used to that. This young man from the Midwest was not trained like that. Okay? Did she marry him? No. She married a boy down the street. When I married my wife, I thought I was marrying a Jasper girl. I was wrong. I dated her for 6 months and realized, oh my sweet Lord, this girl's from Hamilton. She was from the big sprawling metropolis known as Detroit. Some of you may be familiar with that community. It's a suburb of Hamilton. It's not Detroit, it's Detroit. That's where she's from. So I married the girl down the street too. And you see on that graphic, we're pretty much doing that on the continents. We're pretty much doing that. We're marrying the girl down the street. We're not marrying the exotic. You ladies are not marrying the exotic. You're not marrying that exotic guy from Europe. You're not. You're marrying the guy down the street. Okay. Here's some ugly notes on haplogroups. Okay, you got 46 chromosomes. Okay, you might want to jot this down. I'm trying to get rid of this rumor. Y'all can help me with it. There's 46 chromosomes. You're going to get. Here's the mindset. Here's a good analogy for it. It's like you've got a deck of 52 cards, right? But in your case, you're not playing with a full deck. You've only got 46. Okay? You only got 46. You get 23 from your mom, and you get 23 from your dad. Now, let's pause that just for a second. Now, your daddy has 46 chromosomes. Now, think here for a minute. You're only getting 23 from your father. Do you see that? There's 23 of those you're not getting. Got it? Kind of mentally we always think, oh, we're getting all of our genes from we're getting all 40. We think about, we're getting all of it from our dad, we're getting all of it from our mom. No, you're not getting all that. You're only getting half of that. See? My mother has this incredible voice. She sings like an angel. When she goes to the pearly gates, she's going to teach them how to sing. That's really it. She has got a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful voice. Guys, I sound like a frog. On a good day. I didn't get that gene. It's a great group of people, and I really enjoy presenting.
Everyone is into it now, but you really have reservations, and out time.
Right. It's important. There's